done. It's preparing. It's preparing. Done. Redirecting to YouTube.
Are we broadcasting from our website right now?
No, I don't
No.
think we don't have our website set up for this yet.
Not yet.
Next phase.
Next, yeah.
It's a simple setup. Yeah, next phase.
Yeah, I think next month we should do that. So it's firing up here. Redirecting to YouTube.
Are we broadcasting from our website right now? I just asked that. Keep up.
There's a delay.
No.
We don't have our website set.
Oh, it's a delay.
Delay here.
Oh my God, massive delay. It's like a minute.
Okay, so Pernilla, where do I get the code? Or can you get the code?
So you could potentially just send me that URL link that is on your website.
Oh, Pernilla.
Hello? The link, the URL.
So I just put a message to you in chat, Pernilla.
Why am I seeing infinity screens?
Okay. There we go. Bridget, I'm going to disappear for a moment. Can you let people in as they arrive?
Yes, I can.
Realizing. Oh, I know what I need. Okay. There we go. All right, that took care of that problem. Oh. Yay, thank you. All right. There we go. That's what we're looking for. All right. Well, welcome, folks. It is 6 o'clock. It's time for things to start. But as usual and expected, people are still arriving. So we'll give them a couple more minutes to show up, and then we will begin. If you've got any interesting stories to tell, feel free to put them in chat. We're having an interesting time this afternoon. I live over about 3 miles south of Salinas. We were in the path of the river fire last August. It came up to the edges of our development. We live in Indian Springs. It came up to the edges of our development. Didn't touch any houses, but got into a couple of backyards. Well, now there's supposed to be a big rainstorm in the hills tonight, so we're now under evacuation orders. So I'm hoping we can finish this before I have to go drive out of here. Never a dull moment.
That might end up impacting our attendance, actually. There could be people-
Yeah, it affects a fairly large area, but not main. I don't think it'll affect attendance particularly, but we'll see. You never know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and begin because we've got people here, and there are probably some other people that are over watching on YouTube Live that we can't see on our screens, which is great. So let's begin. Welcome everybody to the January 2021 edition of the Monterey Digital Marketing Meetup. And in case this is news to anybody, we're online. Chat is available to you. If you're on Zoom, you can chat to any individual in the group. You can chat to all of us. Feel free to put questions in chat. We'll try to keep an eye on it and answer those questions as they show up. You're also welcome, if you're on live Zoom, to unmute yourself and bark out your question. We'd like this to be as interactive as possible. We are recording, so if you prefer not to be recorded, you can shut off your video, but I would like to encourage people to have their video on so that I don't feel like I'm delivering this to a bunch of static pictures. It's really nice to actually have interactive people that periodically smile every once in a while, as David just did. Okay, next. So this is the Digital Marketing Meetup. We're here to explore and learn about digital marketing tools and strategies, and to network with others and meet the people who are a part of this. And we'll do introductions in a moment. First of all, here's our team. That's me on the left, Brad Barbeau. I am the founder of Ascend Business Design and Development and 21CM Digital Marketing. They are part and parcel of the same company. We also have with us tonight Anjika Grenager. Say hello, Anjika.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. It's good to see such a good crowd here. Good to see you, Dave. Haven't seen you in a while.
Now, Anjika's hard to see in her background, but she's out off to the left trying to catch a wave. So if she catches the right wave, we'll get to see her later. Lynette Lathrop, who has been delayed. I don't know if she's going to be able to join us tonight or not. I'm hoping she will. We'll see. Bridget Cotton, who you'll hear from in a while when she gives the tip of the month. Say hi, Bridget.
Hey, everybody.
Excellent. And Pernilla Dahl, who, yes, Pernilla is on here. There she is, live. Excellent. And Pernilla's running the YouTube live channel also as we go. So that's our team. So let's find out who you all are. The best way to do this is if you introduce yourself in chat. Who are you? Who do you work for, or who are you with? We have several students from CSUMB on, so you can identify yourselves or identify your company. Opportunity for free advertising here. If you're putting in a driveway, David would love to sell you some granitecrete to put in that driveway. If you're looking for a career change, Estelle would love to help you with that career change. Those are the folks I recognize, who I already know. So what do we got? Are we adding things into chat? I'm not seeing anybody showing up in chat unless my chat's not working. There we go. Tom B started a worm farm. Spring is coming. No. This is Game of Thrones. Winter is coming, right? Trying to get this to, oh, I see. Maybe what's the problem? There we go. Trying to get so I can see all these. Estelle from Career Action Center, Lauren Hackett from CSUMB. There's one, Chris Hargett, head of marketing for Worldly.ai, real-time translation software. Chris, we need to talk to you because we have, do you do translation related to that you would do through Zoom, or in what modalities does that work in? Yes, it integrates to Zoom. We'd love to chat with you because we have applications in which we could use simultaneous translation. That's great. Ryan Mahoney from CSUMB, Elsa Frade from, she's an exchange student. So this is, Elsa, this is really cool. I just met her this morning in my class. She's an exchange student at CSUMB from Spain, but given what's going on, rather than paying for a plane ticket, she's Zooming in. So she's exchanging from her home in Spain, which I think is really cool. I believe we're going to have another student in the class who is doing the same thing from New Zealand, if I got that right. So that's, that would be interesting. We got Mike on here, Mike, who facilitates virtual events like this one. I have my client's picture still loaded up. I was wondering, so I assume Mike is Mike Buffo, and I thought that picture doesn't look like Mike Buffo. There's the real guy. Good to see you, Mike. All right, excellent. Got a great group. So those are introductions. If you want to add links in here, you're welcome to do that. Unabashed, letting people know how to get in touch with you is just fine by us. So just a little bit of context setting. E-commerce, I love this growth curve because it's sort of a steady upward. It's got a little bit of a curve into it, and then it hits 2020 and the thing just turns vertical in a leap, and that is expected to continue. I do not think the end of COVID is going to take us backwards. Online commerce, e-commerce is here to stay and here to continue to grow as we go forward. And here's one projection. It's hard to get really good updated data. I've seen data projections that were done in 2018 and 2019, and those are irrelevant at this point because they didn't account for what's gone on in in this time, but that curve is going to keep looking like that. We can just replace the numbers at the bottom with current and future numbers, and we'll be pretty accurate. So we do this every month. We take on a different topic related to creating effective digital marketing strategies. And tonight, Bridget is going to talk about boosting SEO using online directories. And this will be a great topic, a great thing for you all to think about. Are you in the directories out there? And we'll show you why that's really important. And then I'm going to follow and build on that and talk about keyword strategy, which is really the central part of building an SEO strategy online. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So let us begin with Bridget. Are you ready, Bridget?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. Well, here we go.
I do have to apologize a little bit in advance, everybody. I'm still getting over a little bit of a cold, so but bear with me. I think we can get through 5 or 6 slides. So thanks for coming out, everybody. First of all, it's always great to see how many people we get to these events and get to meet everybody. So thanks for everybody for coming out. I'm talking about online directories tonight. And to start off, I'm going to talk about first about what an online directory is. They're basically the yellow pages of the internet. They're listings of businesses on specific topics with specific services. And one of my favorite companies that I like to think about as an example is Tripadvisor. They've got hotels, local attractions, restaurants, hundreds of or thousands of listings, but they're all under the umbrella of helping people with their travel plans. So that's a way I like to think of online directories, is kind of like a one-stop shop for certain topics. Next slide, Brad. So how does this help? How do online directories help with your SEO, and what's so great about them? First of all, it's the way they boost your website. They provide direct links to your website. So between the direct links, the backlinks, it all goes into helping boost your SEO. Second of all, they really maximize your exposure. When you think about it, this is a rare case in which your customers are actually looking for you, for your product, for your service. So it's I think one of the closest ways we might get to actually our pure target market is they're looking for us. And third of all, they provide great social proof for our businesses and our websites. I mentioned Tripadvisor before. I'm actually in love with it right now because I use it a lot for one of our clients that owns Wild Plum Cafe. There are pictures on there, there are reviews, and I swear that some of our client or some of the customers have professional photography skills because the pictures are amazing. But so it really adds credibility to the site and to the business having Wild Plum Cafe on that platform. Next slide, please.
There we go.
Brad, next slide, please.
I actually did.
Oh. So how do you find the directory that's best for you? And the simple answer is, your due diligence. Even a directory as well known as Tripadvisor, their process for rankings have boundaries, have updates, have certain limitations to them. So it's always good to know is to do your actual research behind it, to see what works best for your business in particular and your marketing strategy. So, so there's a couple of ways, really easy, really simple ways in which you can go through and find the best one for your particular business. Next slide. And the easiest #1 way is look at your competitors. If I want to find a local competitor for Wild Plum, I'm going to look for restaurants in Monterey, and it's going to come up with these multiple sites that they're on. So it gives me a chance to not only see what directories they're on, but also how they're using them. What different strategies are they using on the different directories and platforms, and how can they work for me? Next slide, please. Another way is similar to the way we find our own businesses, our keyword strategies. Online directories use keyword strategies the same way that businesses do. They want to connect with customers and with businesses who are looking for them. So by typing in restaurants in Monterey, you come up with Yelp, you come up with OpenTable, Tripadvisor. I think Brad and I were counting how many directories came up before actual restaurants the other day. And I think there were close to a dozen on there before it even got to a restaurant listing. So those are great places to get started. Next slide, please. So with that, we have to look into also how do you go through and actually find the best one for you? How do you go through there? And as you're doing your research, #1 is just like updating your website. You want to make sure that the information on there is correct. It's not outdated, that the directories are easy to navigate, because if you look at the perspective of the customer, if they don't want to spend time on the directory site, they're not going to take the time on there to look for your business as well. They're going to go elsewhere. Another thing to take into consideration when listing your business on a directory is to find one specific to your business. We're talking about how to boost your SEO in this discussion, in this presentation, but by finding the wrong directories, very general directories that aren't necessarily linked to your business and your industry and your target market, Google can actually, Google actually takes that into consideration and can actually have a negative impact on your SEO. Next slide, please. And lastly, is check your results from your listing. When I think about online directories, I also think about them as part of my marketing strategy. You're spending a lot of time making sure that your information is up to date on these directories. You've done your research. So now it's time to make sure that they're actually driving traffic to your website, actually giving you the results, getting you the target market and customers that you're looking for. If you're not getting that traffic, if you're not getting those customers, then it's time to either reevaluate what kind of directory you have your listing on, or it's time to reevaluate possibly how you're using the directory and if you're using it to your full potential. So that about does it for the presentation, but we do encourage you, for any of you who have businesses or know of listings that have worked out great for you, if you could please put those in chat, maybe with the links if you have them, and a small description of the directory and how it's been helpful. We'd really appreciate it.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Bridget, for that great tip of the month. I build on that with saying that what's becoming clear is that having a strong presence on the internet now requires your participation in a pretty wide variety of different platforms, including, of course, your website. Of course, the usual social media, and Facebook and Instagram are still the big two, or business to business is still LinkedIn, but TikTok is coming up, and others are important also. But being part of things like directories, you need to be on Google My Business, especially if you're a location-based business. Being on Google My Business, I'll show you some examples later where really you want to be on Google My Business. And you need to have your website connected into the Google Search console. That also will help your SEO. So the game is to have a widespread presence on the internet these days. So thank you for adding that important piece to the puzzle. And now let's build on that and talk about keyword strategy. And I'm going to need to adjust my screen a little bit here. And so give me a second to switch over a couple of things. I am going to do it this way. That one opened up. There we go. I'm going to take that out of there for the moment and fire up. There we go. All right. So let me now adjust so that you are seeing the right screen, which is that one. There we go. All right. We are now looking at the keyword strategy, or I like this title for it actually, keywords, how to choose them and how to use them. And that's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk first about how we choose them, and then we're going to talk about, well, once we've got them chosen, what are we going to do with them? So why focus on keywords? Why am I starting this off with keywords? Well, it'll probably become a series on SEO topics because there are a bunch of SEO topics. Well, we got to remember 93% of online experiences start with search. That is, everything essentially starts with search. So if you don't show up in search, you don't exist 93% of the time. Furthermore, there we go. 75% of consumers say they choose a restaurant based on search results. So you may have a set, if you're a restaurant, you may have a set of loyal customers that you depend on, but the majority of your customers are likely to come through search. So once again, if you're not showing up in search results, and I mean if you're not showing up on page 1 of search results, you don't exist for 75% of consumers out there. If we go back to the brick and mortar days, many businesses are very dependent on walk-ins. That is, that foot traffic that goes past their store. If you're online, the equivalent of that is search. Search is how you get found on the internet by people who don't know exactly where they're going to. So I call those search-ins instead of walk-ins. This blows me away. This is data from Ahrefs. 90%, over 90% of pages get zero, none, nada, not at all organic search traffic from Google. That is 90% of pages are essentially invisible. You do not want to be part of the 90%. You want to be part of the 10%, obviously. Street presence is search presence. Another way of saying that walk-ins are now search-ins. So we know search is critical. Keywords are central to search. They're where search begins. So if we look at a search, so on the right-hand side here, I've got an actual search set up in Google, hair salons in Monterey. I needed to get my hair cut. So I wanted to know where I could go because most hair salons aren't open. So I type in there hair salons in Monterey and I hit return. We'll worry about all those other words a little bit later. I hit return and I get what's called the search engine results page, the SERP. This is really, really important because this is what you see when you do a search. And it's got some different parts to it. It obviously starts out with an ad, right? It always starts out with an ad. Typically, you'll see 2 to 4 ads at the top of the page. You're not going to get above those ads. If you want to be part of the ads, you've got to do paid advertising. We'll look at that in a couple of months. Then there's this section down here that lists some of the hair salons in Monterey. And if you want to be here, you need to be on Google My Business and you need to be in directories. You need to be in places that Google's looking to say, hey, if they're looking for a hair salon in Monterey, where can I send them? And then we get down to the listings down below. And apropos to what Bridget was saying, the very first listing down here is by a directory, good old Yelp, another place that mostly you need to be. Now, if you want to be high enough in search engine results that people find you, don't want to be number 62,433. You need to be somewhere in the top 10. How do you get there? Well, keywords are part of that. There's a lot more to it. Is your site optimized for SEO? Have you done the technical work you need to do so that your site loads fast and each of your pages loads fast? Have you made sure that all of your images have alt text? There's a whole list of things that need to be done to optimize your site that don't make necessarily a lot of difference to what people see, but they make a lot of difference to whether Google wants to show them your site or not. You need to have a strong virtual presence. That's, again, what Bridget was talking about. Are you on the directories? Are you on the social media? Are there other sites pointing to your site? We'll come back to that because that helps your authority. That's part of backlinks. Backlinks are really critical to SEO. Google has always paid attention to the question, the answer to the question, do other sites point to your site? They've always used that as an indication that your site is a site that people want to see. Topical authority. We're going to talk a fair amount about authority tonight. I'll come back and talk about what I mean by topical authority as opposed to keyword authority. And then, of course, the one we're going to talk about tonight is ranking for individual keywords. And given that keywords are what people search for, that's the place for us to start here. You want to give your keywords lots of love. I equate keywords to branding. Whenever you put out any kind of a communication, your branding should be an integral part of that communication. It should be immediately visually obvious to people what brand this communication came from. Similarly, every communication that you put out there needs to employ appropriate keywords from your stable of keywords. That's how you get there. You want to communicate your branding and use your keywords everywhere that you communicate, because keywords work through repetition with a caveat that I want to talk about at the end, a really important caveat. Mike, that's the part where I want you to pay a special attention, because apropos to the conversation, online conversation we had briefly the other day. All right, back to authority. You want to be the New York Times, not the Podunk Reporter. And Google absolutely pays attention to, for your topics for what your site is about. Do they think you're the New York Times, or do they think you're the Podunk Reporter? Now, I would point out that if somebody is searching for ag news, they're as likely to be sent to one of the Salinas Valley papers as to the New York Times, because New York Times is not necessarily the authority on ag news, and Google knows the difference. And a well-executed keyword strategy builds that authority. So your eye wants to be on, how do I build authority in my site? So let's jump into building the keyword strategy and start with, how are we going to choose them? So the beginning of this is pretty easy. How do you come up with keywords? Well, obviously we're marketers. We're all going to start with our customers and think about and talk to our customers about, when they're looking for products like yours, what are the search terms that they're using? You want to pay lots of attention to that, because those are going to give you a set of search terms that you would like to rank for. So start with your customers, and don't ignore your own knowledge of the business. Your expertise in your market should help you to identify good keyword candidates. And note that I say candidates, because right now we're just looking to create a nice long list of potential keywords, and then we'll evaluate them later. So let's get your voices in here for a moment. Thinking about your business, add into chat. I'm going to make my chat live again. Add into chat some of the keywords that would be popular in your business. Hey, Chris, welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm in trouble now. The real expert is here. So
I'm always seeking to learn what I don't know.
Absolutely. I hear that. We'll see if it does that. You've been doing this for a very long time. Lynette, welcome. Okay, so Estelle has put into chat: career, job search, resume, interviewing, career change. Those are a great list. Kathy Bell, senior activities together. Kathy Bell, tell us really quickly what business you're looking at for those search terms. Kathy Bell, can you unmute?
Sure. So I want a web page with a list of senior programs and the links to their activities on each county website in the US.
Okay. So senior activities together might be a search that people would do to find something like that. Chris has got event interpreters, meeting planning, engaging conference audiences. People looking for advice. How do I engage conference audiences? Chris Miller, AWS consulting, machine learning consultant, which gives you an idea of what Chris is up to with machine learning. He's gone off into the seriously cutting edge part of this whole business. I'm going to get him in here to just blow us away with all sorts of cool stuff soon. Live event video streaming. Thomas, worms and worms, vermiculture, composting, garden, and recycle. Absolutely. We can see what he does.
Interestingly, if I search on just worm, I end up getting a lot of tools because they have a thing called Worm Drive, and it floods me out.
Yeah. Got it. Fun activities, friends. Okay, so those are some examples of some keyword candidates that you might use. I'm going to use actually one of our clients as an example here on generating some of this. So Niece's Gluten-Free Baked Goods, and their website is niecesglutenfree.com. We just built that for them. It is actually, this is really bad timing. because the site had a problem today. So if you go there, all you're going to find is a landing page saying the site is being worked on as we speak. But that's okay. We can still look at some of the things that they've got here. So gluten-free, some possible keywords for gluten-free baked goods, gluten-free bakery, gluten-free cakes, gluten-free cookies, gluten-free desserts. Any other thoughts about what somebody might search for if they were looking for something that nieces might offer them? That is some kind of gluten-free baked goods. If you have any other thoughts, bark them out, put them in chat. Gluten-free bread, there's a good one.
Are you selling locally or shipping?
This is local. No, we're obviously doing some delivery right now, but it is local.
Yeah, so like things like gluten-free bakery near me.
There we
would
go.
be a common search.
Gluten-free bakery near me, gluten-free bakery in Monterey, gluten-free bakery in Seaside. Yep, gluten-free cereal, celiac diet. There's a good one. Estelle says pasta. Got it. Excellent. All right. So some keywords. Now, one of the things you can also do is let Google help you. When I put in the search earlier, when I was searching for hair salons, you notice that there were a bunch of suggestions from Google, and they've done that here. Gluten-free baked goods. There's gluten-free baked goods near me. Chris's suggestion. Gluten-free baked goods. So with the dash in it. Recipes, delivery, gift baskets, recipes, easy. Order online, box for sale. So Google's got lots of suggestions. Not necessarily that these are good keywords, not necessarily that they are bad keywords. Chris, I have a feeling that your last name might be pronounced Harge, given that you're suggesting pan sin gluten. A little French twist on it here. Got it. Also, when you get onto the search engine results page, Google will also give you other suggestions for searches related to gluten-free baked goods. Near me, delivery, gluten-free treats recipe. So some that we haven't thought of. Gluten-free carrot cake. That sounds really good. Gluten-free recipes. I hope you all had dinner because this is going to be really hard going through these if you're at all hungry. All right, so we can get these suggestions to get us started here. There's another really cool tool out there. It's fun to play with, and it can be really useful in generating this. It's called Answer the Public, answerthepublic.com. And they've got one of the most creative landing pages, home pages I've ever seen. This guy's head actually sort of swivels around in this very disconcerting way. But you can put your search term in here, whatever you want to search for. I did, guess what? Gluten-free baked goods. And this is one of the screens it returned. I'll show you two of the screens it returned. And what Answer the Public does is it takes your term and then it appends onto it words that could turn this into a question. So gluten-free baked goods with, or gluten-free baked goods is, or gluten-free baked goods for, and then it tells you what people are searching for. So it's not randomly generating these. It is actually going out and finding what things people have searched for. So gluten-free baked goods for, it says, I know it's hard to read, gluten-free baked good for diabetics, gluten-free bread, good for you, gluten-free baked goods near me, of course, gluten-free baked goods for sale, gluten-free baked goods for delivery. Now that might be a really, really good one for nieces to take a look at in these days when they are needing to deliver. People can't come to their store. So Answer the Public does that. Then it's got another screen Whoops, I think it skipped a screen. Oop. All right. So this one, sorry, my screen's going a little crazy here. This I put in web design, and it kicked back. This is a little richer set. It looks like people ask a lot of questions about web design. So appending the word or using the word which in the search, it comes up with which web design company, which web design software is best for beginners, which web design software is the best, which web design, web design do, what web design course, what web design package. So all of these that can be used at least a couple of ways you could use these. One is these might be keywords or key phrases that you might want to rank for. It's also really suggestive if you're doing content strategies and you're looking for topics for blogs, for example. These, given that people are searching for these might be topics that you would want to build one or more blogs around. So this is a great tool for coming up with those ideas. Okay, third, research your competitors. Really important that you understand what your competitors are ranking for and what's driving traffic to their site. So how do we find competitors? Well, you probably know some of your competitors. I would still do a search because you'll find competitors you didn't even know existed. So here's on our search for gluten-free baked goods Monterey, I believe was gluten-free baked goods in Monterey, I believe was the search here. And it came up with Morning Dove Gluten-Free Bakery and Cafe, which is out there. Blue Ace's Bake Shop, that is Bridget's favorite. And Lily Mae's Cinnamon Rolls, I've never been to them. So now we know who our competitors are. What do we do with that? Well, we can go into a tool. There are multiple tools out there. The one that we use a lot is SEMrush, semrush.com. And they have a tool they call their organic research tool. And so I can go in here and list that website, the Morning Dove Gluten-Free, and this is a little hard to read, so let me make it a little bigger. So that's the same as the last page. And notice that what it's given me are the top organic keywords for the morningdoveglutenfree.com. So not surprisingly, Morning Dove Bakery Monterey, they do well with because it's got their brand in it. Notice that it tells us how high they rank on that keyword, and not surprisingly, they rank #1 on Morning Dove Bakery Monterey. They get a little bit of volume from that. These are not large volume numbers. And 76% of their website traffic comes from Morning Dove Bakery Monterey search. But they also rank reasonably well for Gluten-Free Bakery Carmel. They rank #6 on that. For Bakery Monterey, California, they rank #11. That's starting to fall off page 1. It's not bad. And then you can see these other results here. And this list is by how much of their traffic comes from these different keywords. So what do we do with these keywords? Well, these could be keywords that, hey, if my competitor's getting traffic from these keywords, then I might want to try to get traffic from these keywords. So then the question, of course, is, can I get ranked higher than they are for that keyword? And we'll come back to trying to answer that question later. All right. So we've got the keyword, we've got their position on the keyword, and we have how much of their traffic comes from each of those keywords. There's another tool out there. This tool is free. The SEMrush tool is not free. The Google Keyword Planner, however, is free and is very popular, not just because it's free, but because it's very, very powerful. So in Keyword Planner, which Google puts out there so that you can use this to plan your Google advertising. And if you're looking at a keyword, gluten-free baked goods, I might want to do an ad around gluten-free baked goods. So I'm going to pay Google basically to have me show up if somebody does a search on gluten-free baked goods. Well, how much is that going to cost me to get to the top of the page? Only 66 cents. So it's not going to be very expensive to get there. But tonight's not about advertising. Tonight's about how can I get ranked there, what's called organically, without my having to pay for it. So Keyword Planner isn't going to tell you that. They are going to tell you some other keywords that you might take a look at. Best gluten-free flour for baking, gluten-free baked goods near whatever, best gluten-free cupcakes. It tells you how many searches are done per month in the United States for those. And none of these are particularly large, heavy-duty traffic searches. It tells you something about how high the competition is. Now, we've got to be careful. This isn't competition to rank for the keyword. This is how high is the competition for me to win the auction. So maybe suppose that Nieces and Morning Dove both wanted to place an ad for gluten-free baked goods, so that if David goes out and searches gluten-free baked goods, each of those companies wants to have their site show up at the very top of the page. So that's the kind of competition that this is measuring, is the competition for the auction. And what Google does is you say a maximum, and Google basically runs an instantaneous auction to see who's going to pay to get to the top of that page. So it's not very expensive. Between 66 cents and $2 will get you to the top of the page, but there's a fair amount of competition for it. So that's a little bit of a limitation for Keyword Planner. It's not measuring exactly what we want, but it is generating information about lots of different keywords here. But remember, Keyword Planner focuses on paid keywords, not organic keywords. All right, so we've got several different sources. We can go to our customers and should go to our customers. We can use our own knowledge. We can go and look at what our competitors are getting traffic from and ranking for. And now we've got a list, and probably we've got a list that's longer than we really want. We might have a list of, at least 10, maybe 30, maybe 100 or more keywords that we could rank for. We don't want to try to rank for all those keywords. That doesn't make any sense. So now we've got to select them. So we've got to ask the question, what makes a keyword an opportunity for us? So we want to be able to identify what are the keywords that are siphoning traffic off to our competitors. What are the keywords that our competitors are ranking for that we're not, that we could be? And what are the keywords that our competitors aren't ranking for, but could be sending us traffic? So how do we go about doing this? Well, why not just use the keywords our customers are looking for? There's a problem. Here's an example. Suppose that you're selling athletic shoes. So you say, okay, people must search for athletic shoes. So I'm going to try to rank for athletic shoes. So I'm going to do a search on athletic shoes. And here's what I come up with. So here's the company. So we've got Dick's showing up, and these are not paid. These are organic search result. We've got Dick's, we've got Zappos, we've got Amazon, we've got DSW, we've got Famous Footwear, we've got Famous Footwear again, we've got Foot Care MD. Unless you have a monstrous marketing budget to spend out there, you're not going to win the battle for ranking against these companies on athletic shoes. So probably, even if you're selling athletic shoes, you don't want to pick that as one of the keywords you want to go after. So things we need to ask to choose our keywords. How hard is it going to be to rank for this keyword? Now, that could be a tricky thing to answer, but there are good tools out there to help us answer that. How much traffic am I likely to get if I rank for this keyword? That's important. You could rank really high for a keyword that 3 people a year search for, not going to do you much good. What kind of content should I create to rank for this keyword? We will take a look at that. Are people searching for this keyword likely to become my customers? What was the example? Thomas earlier said lots of people search for worm. Turns out they're looking for worm drives. And that's not when your worm grabs your car and takes it for a trip around the neighborhood. Worm drive is a type of gear, not very useful for his business. So all these things we want to answer. So let's do a little story. I like stories. Goldilocks and the 3 keywords. Goldilocks sees 3 keywords and she says, oh, this keyword is too difficult to rank for. And this keyword doesn't have enough searches. But this keyword is just right. How do we find that keyword? So let's take a look at this notion of keyword difficulty. So a little bit about search. When you run a search, Google looks at your search terms, looks at some contextual things. What else have you been searching for? What else does Google know about you? And Google knows all, sees all. And Google ranks all the pages out there against each other to find the page that ranks the highest for your search. Or if we look at this as you've got the website and one of your customers is doing the search, your page is up against all those other pages for that specific search. And you need to hit the top of that. Well, how do you get to the top of that? Well, Google considers, these are general factors and they are not the only factors. Google considers what's the content of your page? What is the intent of the searcher? Now, Google has long since gone beyond simply taking the keywords as, oh, okay, those keywords, let's go search and see what pages have those keywords on them. Google is far more sophisticated. You've noticed that as you refine your search, Google seems to get smarter and smarter about what it's showing you because Google is paying attention to your sequential searches. So Google has a way of figuring out your searcher intent. That brings us back to what Chris Miller is up to, because now Google is using artificial intelligence and machine learning in real time to do this. A third factor, links from other websites. Are other websites pointing to you, suggesting that you've probably got a website that customers would want to look at? And what is your domain or your website authority? Actually, I should say, we'll change that term a little bit later. But what's your authority here as seen by Google? Well, all of these factors and more go together to give us this notion of keyword difficulty, which is different than the keyword competition that we saw in Keyword Planner. That keyword competition is about this bidding process. Keyword difficulty, which was devised by Ahrefs, is an estimate of how hard it is to rank for a keyword. Exactly, exactly what we want to know. There's another thing we want to look at, and that is the cost per click. That is, how much would it cost to have your ad win the bidding war with a given keyword? That is an indicator of whether that might be a keyword you could rank for. It is a little more oriented toward advertising. So I'm going to go back to SEMrush again. And now I'm going to use a slightly different tool of theirs called the Keyword Magic tool. Keyword Magic. And let me blow this up so we can actually see it a little bit. So once again, I'm using good old gluten-free baked goods here for my example. And note that it's going to give me gluten-free baked goods, and then it's going to give me some other ones also as other suggestions, because it uses this keyword gluten-free baked goods just as the root, as a place to start. Now, what does it tell me for that keyword? It tells me the volume within a time period. And let me, whoops, sorry. Let me see if I can tell. So this is in the United States. I'm trying to remember what I set for the time period on this. I'm thinking I set it for the previous month, but I don't know for sure. So volume of 1,000. Well, that's not a bad number of searches, but that's across the United States. Then it gives me KD percent. Guess what KD stands for? Anybody got a guess? Estelle's going to jump in. What's it mean? What is KD? What have we just been talking about?
Difficulty.
There we go. Keyword difficulty. So keyword difficulty expressed as a percent. Now we want that number to be as low as possible. The rule of thumb SEMrush puts out is north of 50%, the keyword is relatively difficult to rank for. South of 50%, the keyword is relatively easy to rank for. So with a high keyword difficulty, 83%, we might think twice about trying to rank for gluten-free baked goods. Not that we wouldn't, but if we find some others that we think would work as well, but are easier to rank for, we might go after those instead. It also gives us the cost per click, average cost per click, 93 cents. So if we want to run an ad for it, it's not all that expensive to get that ad at the top of the search results and get people to click on it. But so this tool, and there are other tools out there, Ahrefs has them, Neil Patel's got them, lots of other companies have got tools like this that allow you to measure what the keyword difficulty is and the relative volume. Remember what Dorothy, no, I'm sorry, not Dorothy, that was a different one. Where's our person? Oh yes, Goldilocks. She's rejecting one keyword because it's too difficult and another one because it doesn't have enough searches. So we're trying to find something in the middle between those. Okay, how many keywords is the right number of keywords? Let's start with, I have no idea what the right answer is to that. I used to think it was 6, but that's because I read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm sorry, I used to think it was 42. And that's because I read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But 42 in that book was the answer to what is 6 times 8. So they were having a little bit of a math problem anyway. So it's not 6 and it's not 48. It's probably larger than 6. It's probably smaller than 48, but I want to think about it differently. Rather than thinking about it in terms of how many keywords do I want to rank for, I want to think about it in terms of topics. What are the general topics related to my business that I want Google to grant me as an authority on? Now, I want to convince Google that I've got a PhD in those topics. And so that takes me beyond keywords. Those keywords are going to relate to topics. So now we're going to have groups of keywords around topics. And we want to think first about topics and then about keywords. Google continues to get smarter and smarter and is less and less dependent upon the specific keywords and more able to, or at least willing to, figure out or estimate, or whatever is the right term there, what the intent of the search is and what the intent or the topic of the page is. It's not just matching keywords to keywords. Life isn't that simple. Okay. So where do we go from here? What do we do with these keywords? So we've gotten ourselves a list of keywords from our customers, from our own knowledge, and from our competitors. And we've taken those keywords and we've narrowed them down according to difficulty and how much search they're involved in. And so now we've got ourselves a set of keywords, hopefully a set of topics with related keywords. What are we going to do with those? Okay, so now we're to the how do we use them part of the talk here. So we want to build these keywords into our content and into our site. Several different places we want to put these. First one, we want to build our keywords into the URLs for our pages. So if you look at your website or any website and you go to a particular page and you look at the top where the URL is, you'll see that it's got the domain URL, and then it's got what the URL extension is for that particular page. Now, you can just use a number for that, and I have seen that. As a matter of fact, I have seen that recently, which really surprised me because it's not a very good practice. Or you can use the topic or keyword for that page in the title for the, not the title for the page, for the URL for the page. A note, don't get that URL too long. Google has a limit. It does not like monstrous URLs. So you've got to be careful that you don't try to put in monstrous phrases or stuff a bunch of keywords into the URL for that page. Google will ding you for that. Second, you want to build your keywords into your page content, and you want to do this intelligently. You want to, so your page should be about something, a main topic, and the keywords in that page should relate to that topic, and they should be used properly to relate to that topic. Don't just repeat keywords. Google doesn't like that, and don't try to fool Mother Google. She doesn't like it. She will ding your page for that. If you're writing blogs, your blog should relate to a topic that is relevant to what you want your site to rank for, what you want your site to have authority for. And so your blog content should be built around keywords for that topic. The H1 and H2 headers, if you're not a designer, you may not know what those are, but those are the main title and the secondary titles or headers on your pages. Google looks at those particularly to understand what the page is about. However, don't turn everything into an H1 header. It's been done. Google doesn't like that either. Use a proper, it should be one H1 header and a limited number of H2 headers on your page, but you want to use headers, not just a bunch of text that all runs together. And also in your meta descriptions for your page, those meta descriptions are important. Google pays attention to them. Google uses them when it displays on the search engine results page. So make sure that you're using effective keywords in your meta descriptions. So page content and blogs built around keywords help to improve your topical authority. So not random blogs. Your blog should be focused on not necessarily selling. I'm not saying your blog should be selling your product. I think that is a very bad practice, maybe every once in a while. But your blog should be providing value to people around the topics that are relevant to what your business is about. So you can imagine Estelle with her business, which is Career Action Center, and she's a career coach. So she might write blogs about resumes, how to write a good resume, how to do a good job search, how to find a good career coach. All of those would help her with the Topical Authority on her website. You build authority through focus. Okay, Michael, this is obviously the section I wanted you to hear on this, because we want to use focus. Google, somewhat surprisingly, at least to me, Google likes longer form content and detail around a single topic. It does not want you to do a bunch of 3-sentence paragraphs around a whole bunch of different topics. Now, interestingly, this is a little bit different than I teach business writing. When I work with people around business writing, I typically recommend that paragraphs be 3 sentences long, approximately, and that each paragraph have a single topic and that they flow together, etc. But I'm not saying that Google likes really long paragraphs, but I am saying that Google likes detail. Google likes you to deal with the topic extensively. So I would use shorter paragraphs, headers, which help your reader, and go into detail, which helps Google. So long form beats short form content for SEO. At the beginning, I had this slide that said, treat your keywords well, everywhere and all the time, communicate, use your keywords. And I mentioned a caveat, and I think I have spoken to that caveat, so let's make it explicit. No keyword stuffing. Google figured out keyword stuffing a very long time ago. If you start writing paragraphs where every third word is your keyword, Google's going to pick that up and say, no, nobody wants to read this, and they will not show it. Okay? You've got to remember that Google gets smarter every day and is getting closer and closer to really understanding how good your content is around the topic that is being created to address. Keywords are important, but are they everything? Not by a long shot, but they are the place to start. What goes into SEO? Page speed, backlinks, popularity, as shown by at least partly backlinks, as shown by traffic, also real traffic. Oh my goodness. A guy I talked to a few months ago wanted to get his site to rank higher, so he went out and paid some folks in, I think it was Romania, to get traffic for his site, paid a few $100s. You know where this is going. He got site traffic. He was getting 20,000 hits a day on his site. And it did him no good whatsoever because he did not fool Google in the least. Google immediately knows those are not legitimate hits on his site and just ignored all the traffic. And even after he stopped paying the folks, it took about 3 months for that traffic to go away and for his site to settle down where he could see the real traffic it was getting. So don't do that. Don't buy backlinks, don't buy traffic. It will damage the SEO for your site. Accessibility, you need to pay attention to accessibility. Google looks at things like, are the words on your site big enough? Is the typeface large enough so that people who are sight impaired can read it? Do you have alt text on your images so that if somebody's using a sight reader, the sight reader can tell them what the image is about? And other issues, contrast is another one, color contrast, is it sufficient? So accessibility has become a big deal for Google. Do you have a sitemap? Do you have an XML sitemap that you provide to Google that makes it easier for Google to crawl your site? Google likes that. Has your site been around? You could do everything right on a site, design it and launch it tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, you're not going to have great SEO. It takes time for your site to sort of age. It's kind of like a fine wine. But your site needs to have fresh content. Don't just put it out there and hope like a fine wine. If you ignore it for 5 years, it will get better. It doesn't work that way. You may need to have it out there for some time, but you want to be providing fresh content. And about 200 more different other signals that Google uses. So this is pretty complex, SEO is. But keywords are where we start. So I would strongly suggest that the keyword strategy is fundamental to your website and fundamental to your digital marketing in general. And that if you're designing a new website, one of the things you should do in the design process is to develop your keyword strategy so that that can drive your content that you create for it. If you have an existing site, you're probably not going to suddenly remove all the current content and replace it with brand new content. But as you do, you should be doing that around a specific keyword strategy. So with one company that I work with, Granite Crete, David Ventura is our sales guy for Granite Crete. Granite Crete is a decomposed granite stabilizer, a soil stabilizer. There are other ways to describe it also. But as we looked at wanting to improve the SEO for the site, and we thought about, well, what do we want to rank for? We thought, well, we're a decomposed granite stabilizer, so we might want to rank for decomposed granite. So we created a page and some blogs and some newsletter posts all around decomposed granite. And lo and behold, we now rank for decomposed granite. And when people are doing searches, they get to see Granite Crete. And I think it's time for phase 2, because I think we can get even higher in the rankings on that. So we'll talk about that, David, as we go forward. By the way, this presentation and the tip of the month will be available at 21CM Global. That's our website, on the digital marketing meetup page. Give us a few days to get this downloaded, edited, and up on the site, but it definitely will be there. And that's the end of that presentation. Are there any questions you all might have? Thoughts, comments?
So I
Chris?
posted a question in the chat. Can you
Ah.
paste the link in the chat for our notes? That was on the last slide.
Oh, yes. I can add that in there. It's 21cm.global/digital marketing. And that has a recording of our previous, we keep all of our meetups get posted up there, unless something happens to the recording, as does happen every now and again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so let me readjust my screen. Go back to sharing that screen, and that's basically all for tonight. That's all, folks. And whoops, let me, one of the things I always ask of the audience at the end is, what other topics around digital marketing would you like to see? We like to provide people what they want to see. We do choose topics for what we want to delve into and take a deeper dive into, but we also would love to know what it is that you would like to see out there. So I'm going to check back in chat. What are the legit sites that work well for getting backlinks? That's a great question, Chris. My suggestion on backlinks is if you find sites that are either selling backlinks or say, hey, we'll give you a backlink, you should probably run the other way. What you want to do is find sites that are related to your site in some way and send them an email and say, hey, I'll link to your site if you link to mine. We all remember that one, right? So I'll use Granite Creek as an example. One of the major sources of backlinks for us are the retailers that carry our product. So every retailer, when they sign up with us, we say, we will put you on our website, list you as a retailer on our website if you will put our product up on your website and create a link from that product to our website. And that drives backlinks for us. If there are blog sites that are related content to yours, reach out to them. They would love to have links to their blog site because that's good for their SEO, and their links back to you are good for your SEO. So this is really a strategic process doing that, rather than simply let's get as many as we can. It goes back also to what Bridget talked about around directories. There are directories out there that you can get listed on that will link to your site that will not do you any good, because that's what those directories exist for, is to provide backlinks. And Google has this little list on its bulletin board of those sites. What you want to do are find directories that are relevant to your business. So a Monterey-based directory, if you're a Monterey-based business, or a directory of doctor's offices if you're a doctor's office, make them relevant. Thomas says, I post often in Facebook groups. How do I link to my related blog posts without being so obvious? I don't know. I'm not sure that there's a problem with being obvious there. I think if it's a Facebook group and you're writing good blog posts about what they're interested in, you should absolutely say to them, hey, you guys might want to read my blog. I've got a great blog. By the way, oldtomswormery.com. Oh, there's a link to the wormery. That's cool. Chris says, I'd like to see advanced tips and tricks for building quality mailing lists. Great one. We will put that on our list. Future topic, helpful sites to develop pitches, especially shortening length and maximizing impact. When you say pitches, Kathy Bell, what kind of pitches are you referring to?
Pitches to sell our ideas to, on our entrepreneurship or our new businesses.
Oh, cool.
To different groups.
Absolutely. You're going to get a ton of that in my course that you're in right now. And when you enter Startup Challenge, we're going to have a bunch of modules on Startup Challenge about building pitches. So that's a little more of an IIED Startup Challenge entrepreneurship kind of thing. I love doing that. I'm working on a bunch of those modules right now. Okay, cool. Good topics. Thanks. So February, we'll be back. I don't know what topic yet. We've got to decide among our topics, but we will let you know. And if you have questions or needs, we'd love to help you. There's our contact information, emails for all of us, myself, Bridget for social media. Pernella does website optimization. She has been a genius and a magician with optimizing websites. She's vastly increased the health of a whole bunch of websites out there. Anjika doing web and graphic design, and Lynette, our project manager, who keeps us all on time and on budget. So that brings us to the end. And my wife, I don't know if you all saw me turn a while ago, my wife's showing me a note. Can you get done by 7:30 so we can get out of here, because it's raining hard out there and the mountain's threatening to run down on our house. So everybody have a good and safe evening. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
It's got to be pretty late. Elsa was on there the whole time. It's got to be 7:19 plus 8 hours. I hope she's a night owl, because it's like the wee hours of the morning over in Spain. Lynette, we should, did you see, is Lynette still here? No, we lost Lynette. I will grab that from chat. We should, Pernilla and Anjika, we should pay attention to the chat from Chris Harget about his real-time interpretation, see if he's got something we might want to use.
Yeah. Do you have the chat? Like, does it save, or should I go through and save it?
When I have my settings so that, and you guys may want to do this. I have my settings so that whenever I finish any Zoom meeting, it automatically saves the chat on my computer. And I've got like 8 months of 8 chats a day. So I've got this huge set, but they're all there. But we should check that out. And I will be able to get to it.
You can close the live stream.
Oh, okay. What do I need to do to close the live stream?